Welcome to Roots Rebirth. I'm Terri Broussard-Williams, a change maker, the original fire starter, and a fellow joy seeker. I believe in passion and purpose. And today we're going to dive into soul-shifting stories of transformation, resilience, and leadership. We're exploring what it means to lead a movement, not just for change, but for dignity and sustainability. I'm joined by Cherie Hager, a bold and visionary woman who is literally shaping how the world thinks about menstruation. Cherie is the CEO and co-founder of Saalt, a certified B Corp, making reusable period care mainstream. From creating toxin-free, high-performance period products to changing policies around menstrual equity, Cherie's journey is rooted in service and fueled by impact. Cherie, I am so excited to have you here today. Let's dig in.
Thrilled to be here. Thank you, Terri.
Well, I think it's so fun to talk about how we met because it's probably something that no one would even think. I think of it's kind of wild. But when I first launched my blog in 2018, I heard about your product and just reached out and said that I wanted to learn more about what you were doing. And I wanted to write a blog article. My blog is movementmakercollective.com. And so you guys were so incredible to me. You said yes, and I wrote a story about your company. Then a couple of months later, in my Facebook inbox, which I never check, so well, I should let everyone know, don't try this, but I got a message from a young man who said that he read the blog article and he needed some help. And I'll let you take it from here.
Oh my goodness. It's such a good story because we launched our company, Saalt, in 2018. And really, we wanted the vision from the get-go was we want to create reusable products that are sustainable, long-lasting cups, discs, period underwear that can be made for the U.S. consumer with the added vision to have a give back program that will get our products more accessible across the world globally. And so when you reached out, it was Timothy, the young man from Jroti, which is Dreams of the Tropical Youth in Uganda. And he wanted to be able to give more access to our reusable period care products in his rural area of Kayotera. And that was an initial, like when we started in 2018, we had this dream to have this impact, but we had barely any sales at that point, right? And so we were onboarding these charity partners with kind of our pipe dream of maybe we can do something with them someday. And now 7 years later, it's amazing to reconnect and show that he's an ongoing partner. We've done so much with him. We can get into that. We can get into that more, but it's incredible to be able to have that impact, and it all happened because you sparked that one conversation. And it's been this incredible supportive relationship between us now.
It's so wild. To this day, I still don't know how he found my blog article. And his email was so filled with passion. And so, I'd only chatted with you guys by email, and I had no idea how you would respond. But you raised your hand and said, yes, I'm going to get going, and truthfully, I had never heard of a menstrual cup until I wrote the blog article about you guys. And
that's amazing.
To finally see your face today and to also think about how big your company is now. Like, I have your panties out. It's like a collab with Hanky Panky. You guys have it big time. And just with that, you've had big impact for Timothy and others beyond. They're not the only charity that you support.
Yeah, exactly. No, we've been able to donate over 130,000 products now in 50 countries through our 1% Give Back program. And that's as we've grown throughout our journey. So what started as an initial allocation of just period cups that we were able to give to Timothy in Uganda has since turned into regular donations of hundreds of period cups. We help fund efforts for him to teach about our, cups and underwear to schools there in rural Uganda. And we've actually also built 4 latrines with them, 4 rural schools, because we found out that even though we were donating the cups to help keep girls in school, they were still changing their cups in the tall grass outside the school because they had no private place to be able to take care of themselves. And part of our holistic mission is to offer people a dignified place to have a period and just a dignified way to have a period through our products. And so we said, what other barriers are there to achieving that vision? And so when we found out that they didn't have sanitation facilities, that's where we built those. And the whole community uses them. So it's just incredible to see the rates of girls now attending schools and being able to because of these donations.
Well, that's what I was going to say. For people that are listening, and they might not be aware of this, because until Timothy sent me his passionate email, I wasn't aware of it. But girls in Africa, many of them don't go to school when they have a period. One, because they're ashamed, or two, like they're bleeding so heavily, they don't want to go around anyone. And three, Timothy's email said that the boys tease them. They
Yes.
call them these different names. And so just for them to have the dignified place to change a cup, it's beyond some of their wildest dreams.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I could talk about period poverty all day. It's such a passionate just topic of mine and something that we're actively trying to combat with Saalt. Because if you think about it, period poverty is when people lack access to reliable, safe period care products. And a lot of times in the US, we don't realize, we don't have that aha moment to ask, what do other women and girls use for their period? And I'll tell you what it is. There's over a quarter of the world lives in period poverty, which means they can't access those daily pads. And so they start using things like banana leaves or bits of mattress pad, or they tear paper from school books, or they use soil or ash, anything that absorbs. And actually in Africa, there's a lot of people who exchange sexual favors with their professors in exchange for a single pad. So it is an incredible problem. And so something as small as a little period cup or as basic as a pair of underwear can literally keep girls in school and break cycles of poverty for generations, help women provide for their families. And so when we saw that power, we said, this is something we have to stand behind. We have to get our products out and change these lives. So when we talk about 130,000 products donated, that's 130,000 lives that we've been able to impact, which is incredible.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I'd love for you to share a little more about your origin story. Both you and Saul, how did you come up with this idea for a menstrual cup?
Yeah. So, before being introduced to reusable products, I was a pad and tampon user my whole life. And my mom is from Argentina. My husband's from Venezuela. So I was speaking to his aunt in Venezuela, and she was describing how dire the situation there was. She wasn't able to get anything on store shelves, let alone things like pads and tampons. She hadn't seen a pad or tampon in 3 years. And I started questioning, okay, what would I do in that situation? My husband and I have 6 children, 5 of them are daughters, and I started thinking of them and this reliance we have on a disposable supply chain. So I was looking into reusable options for all personal care items and was introduced to cups and discs and period underwear for the first time. Tried them out and was just blown away. I thought this would be an emergency item that I would give to my family in Venezuela, but it turned out that these were cleaner. They were better for my body. They were better for the environment. They were higher performing. A cup or disc can hold 4 to 6 times more than a tampon. You don't even feel it's in. So it's more convenient, just everything under the sun. And I said, this doesn't need to be, something that's a fringe product as it's looked at now. It needs to be something more mainstream. So the vision that we went into creating the products, and we started with our cup as our flagship product, then introduced our disc and then our period underwear, and each took time to innovate. But it was to provide one-stop shop for a fully sustainable period care regimen. So anyone can get their full replacement for tampons and pads in one shop. And we wanted it to go out to the mainstream consumer. So one of our early wins was that we were able to get into all Target stores nationwide in 2019. So a year into our business, we're able to get on Target shelves. That put us on the map. Then after that came Walmart and Walgreens and REI and Whole Foods and Nordstrom. And so we're able to get to a lot of those major retailers. And then we also sell on our website and Amazon. And it's just supporting this mission of accessibility of these products for more people.
It's crazy. When I first reached out to you to ask you to do this, I went on your website. You now even have a cup spot, something that cleans the cups.
Yeah,
You guys have reinvented the way that women think about their periods, but you've also created communities. I joined a
mhm,
Facebook group where people are talking about their products and how to use them, and women are helping each other use them for the first time. It's so
that's right.
cool to see.
Yeah, we have something on Facebook called our Salt Cup Academy and this is exactly what it is. It's a community of women who all ask their questions, and our customer service team is also in there answering questions, but really everybody's helping support each other, which is incredible. And it's about 30,000 people in that group.
Well, I love that you touched on your family. I've seen pictures of your family, and you have the most gorgeous family with five
Oh,
animals. So just thinking about how you're creating this product that is not only helping generations of girls in other countries, but you're building something that your daughters can witness and use every day. I'd love for you just to talk about how, your business might intersect with your home life.
Hey friends, it's Terri. You heard me say that transformation comes from both roots and rebirth. And sometimes that means finding light in our hardest moments. That's why I'm loving Lumankind's Light Through Lost Mindful Mark Pack. These wearable reminders allow you to set an intention that will help you center, reflect, and rise. Treat yourself or someone you love. Go to lumankind.com and use code Terri15 for 15% off your first purchase. Because even in loss, light finds a way.
oh my gosh. Yeah, this is something that I love. First of all, my dream is to have every young girl experience freedom and not ever be limited by something as basic to the human condition as a period. Because we all have our stories, right? Where we've been in math class and we, feel something leaking, and then suddenly you have to put a sweater around your waist and go to the nurse's office. All these embarrassing moments off of something that affects 50% of the population. And so our underwear, my girls wear them every single day because it catches not only periods, but also bladder leaks, discharge, everything. And the beautiful thing is they don't have to worry about those surprise moments because they're always covered. It's a built-in absorbency. So they wear it just like regular underwear and they'll never have that moment. And I want that for every young girl. I truly want to create a world where no girl is ever limited in their education or their economic pursuits or in their confidence and dignity because of a period. So that's my overall dream. And I want that for my daughters. I want it for all young girls. So we've also created a teen line, which gets me so excited. The teen line is perfect for active kids. My kids are so active. They're like gymnastics, dance, musical theater. They're constantly out and about and off and out for like 12 hours a day, on stage or doing whatever they are for rehearsals, and they need something that's really high performing. So our teen line, I'm super excited about that. We launched it last year and really developed it just for teens, and it's actually in Walmart. So I'm so
That's huge.
It's huge. They wanted it too. They said we want something that teens are looking for, and so many of this young generation is looking for alternative products that are sustainable and good for the planet. So that makes me so happy. But yeah, talking about home life, I believe in work-life integration. A lot of people use the term work-life balance, and I don't really love that term because I feel like it's an impossible goal when people think, oh, I have to balance these perfectly, when it's never going to be like that. There's going to be times where you're more on with family life and more on with business life, depending on travel and whatever the functions are. And so work-life integration is really, to me, is doing what you love in your work and bringing your family along for the ride. And so my family's been with me to Nepal to teach about cups for impact efforts. They've been to Sri Lanka, where a manufacturer is located. We've gone there, we've done some business trip, some business travel, and then also taken some time, some personal time. And I remember, our manufacturing team thought we were nuts bringing our 6 kids, Actually, it was 5 at the time, and I was pregnant with number 6. They thought that was even more crazy. And we said early on, if we want to make this work, then we need to make it work with our life, and we're going to bring our family along. So it's just a practice of maximizing your life to the nth degree and making sure that you are integrating all the things you love along with something meaningful that you're doing for your vocation.
It's so cool because, all 6 of your kids are watching you do that. And so that becomes their norm and their expectation, right? There's
Yes.
so many kids who don't experience that. And so I love that you're, building your own little movement in your home life while you're building movements everywhere else.
Yeah, and we really try to take a very supportive view of just empowering women in the workplace as well, because so many moms have this mom guilt if they are working, and prioritizing a career also while trying to prioritize their family. And I don't believe that being a mom and having a career needs to be mutually exclusive. I think there's things that you can do to make it work. So my husband and I are a lot more equalized in our family responsibilities. We've also, done things that have been innovative as a female entrepreneur. We have an in-office preschool that we offer free to all of our employees, and the moms use it and the dads use it. And it's a beautiful thing because instead of having to choose to send their kids to daycare so that they can have work and then having the cost of daycare, which sometimes doesn't even out, they're able to have that free preschool that they take advantage of. It helps us with retention, it helps us with recruiting. They're happy because they're able to see their kids during the day, and you can meet them for lunches, diaper changes, potty training, whatever it needs to be, without having to sacrifice their parenthood or sacrifice their career. So we really try to support the women in the workforce any way we can.
That is incredible, Cherie. I mean, you guys have built a lot of just best practices and things that other companies dream about doing, How did you balance all this? Like figure out that this was possible for your growing company, which is no longer small.
Yeah, I mean, we started it in our second year of business, so we were small at the time, right? I think in our first year we did 600,000 in revenue, and then we quickly jumped up to 8 figures in our third year, and so on. And we've continued to grow after that. And a lot of it's hitting the market at the right time. But as we grew, we became a certified B Corp in our second year, and we also instituted our preschool at that time. So it really speaks to just our core values and who we are and what we wanted to create, because it's actually easier to create that at the beginning than try to do it later as a large company. Because you could hold off on your dreams and your big ideas on how you want to shake things up for the workplace and say, I can do that when I'm larger. It's actually tougher because then you have to backtrack and you have to make a budget for the preschool where we've just always had it there. And it's actually very affordable and cost effective for us. So it's a huge win.
I love it so much. You just gave a whole bunch of little nuggets. I'd love for you to share just your thoughts on, for a woman who is starting a business, how do you begin to take that first step, that leap of faith? You went from just a conversation with the family member to creating, and you said in less than 3 years, an 8-figure business. What was that first step, and how are you so courageous in doing it?
Well, I give a lot of credit to my husband. He has a very entrepreneurial mindset, and we've been on our entrepreneur journeys together in lots of different businesses over our marriage. And so when I went to him with the idea for a cup, and I said, hey, there's not a lot of US made cups. And I have some design ideas for how we can make a better one. But I said, you know what? It's regulated by the FDA. It's going to be customer service nightmare. And he's like, no, we can do this. We can push forward. This is a great dream. Let's do it. And he was fully supportive. And so that's amazing to have a great support system, because there's a lot of naysayers. I had that. My own mom didn't think it was a credible product. She's from Argentina, and less than 2% of the Latin world even uses inserted products. And so she's like, what? Are you sure this works? So I certainly had the naysayers too, but I credit a lot to his support. So he's incredible. He's a co-founder with me. But overall, when women ask, okay, how do I do this? I mean, I had a degree in English, not in business. I had been an at-home mom doing freelance work, writing textbooks before we started this company. And so it was kind of like the reluctant CEO story. I became CEO because we needed me to, and to be able to kind of share that passion, but I didn't have any of that business expertise. But you know what I did have? I had a lot of passion, a lot of drive, and I'm a hard worker. And so it is all about hustle and grit. So when people say, well, do you need a full business plan? Do you need a degree to be able to jump into business? That's not what it requires. What it requires is just that hustle every single night, nights, weekends, and you really need a strong why to keep you going, because the entrepreneur roller coaster can do people in sometimes. It's a lot. But if you have that strong why, and for me, it was combating period poverty, and it was creating these products for my daughters, that's kept me going over these years.
No. Well, I talk a lot about both religion and spirituality in this podcast. I was raised Catholic, and my family's very, very Catholic. My grandparents built a church, it burned down. My parents built it again.
Wow.
We've hosted happy hours for priests at my house when my parents were young. But I have stories for days. But my faith is what drives me. I believe in something much bigger than myself. And I know on the days when I am fighting to pass laws at state capitals and I feel like it's impossible, my faith is definitely what bridges that gap for me. And you shared that you're a woman of faith as well. I love to hear how your faith has fueled your business and your passion.
Oh, I love that question. I usually talk so much about business that it's not something get to share so much. So I love this, Terri, that I have this platform to do so. So I was raised Christian, very strong Christian faith, but I had a moment in time, probably 10 years ago, where I was really questioning that faith. There was a lot going on. I think I was kind of going through the motions and just didn't have that fire for Jesus Christ and didn't really have a relationship, hadn't built a relationship with God, and really kind of thought, how is it that the world needs to rely so much on the sacrifice of this one man? Like logically, I just had questions logically, and I just had questions spiritually. And, God is good, and he orchestrated the right learning experience to change that and to change that to a stronger faith and a conversion experience. And it's when I almost lost my second daughter to a near drown experience. And so we had 7 adults outside. It was for an event. This is often when these events happen. And she had fallen into the pool on the shallow side of the pool, and nobody had seen her fall in. She was reaching for a toy. And it wasn't until my brother-in-law, saw her from the other side of the pool. He was playing a game, and he quickly swam to her. He pulls her out, and she was wearing this little blue dress, and she was the same color as that little blue dress.
Wow.
And she wasn't breathing. She appeared lifeless, and I thought we lost her. And I went into complete hysterics. My good husband started performing CPR, called the ambulance and so forth. And she, after what felt like an eternity, she started breathing again, very labored, but started breathing again. And of course, I'm praying, but kind of without hope because my belief is, not really there right now. And it's kind of struggling. And he said, we need to pray for a blessing on her. And so he had inspiration come to his mind, and he said, in the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to be whole. It was a powerful blessing. He said, a lot of times I don't know what to pray for, but in that moment, his mind became like a vacuum and he knew exactly what to say. And so he pronounced this blessing upon her. We know that as Christians, our belief can cause great miracles to happen, that great faith that Christ, he promised believers that signs will follow those who believe. And so I was really grateful for my husband's faith at that time. But what I didn't want to tell him was that I was struggling. And I knew that I needed to exercise that faith and find God in order for that blessing to happen. So I had this moment after we'd gone to the hospital, and I was alone in the hospital room, and he'd pronounced this great blessing, and I wanted to believe, but I was still doubting. And the doctors had only painted a grim picture of what might happen to her. Brain damage still, she was breathing, but she wasn't fully okay yet. They didn't know if she had water in her lungs. And so I reached out to God. That was my moment, right? My Jesus moment. That was a moment where I said, I want to have faith in you. I want to know you. And I felt like it was such a meager effort in prayer, but what I received was the most incredible feeling of unconditional love, forgiveness, understanding that I'd ever experienced. And I knew Jesus that day. And that is what led to my conversion. After that, scriptures opened up like never before. I felt like the gift of charity entered my life, and it just truly changed me. It's what that, baptism of fire really feels like. It's true conversion. And since then, it's really just guided my whole life. And it is a beautiful way to live. The spiritual life is, because I feel so connected to the divine. Whenever I have little things come to my mind of inspiration and spirit speaking to me, I know that I'm on the right side. And I love when those instances come because I know that I'm connecting to him who is perfect in all things. And so it's just been incredible. And it's really guided my life and my business. Everything we do in our charity work, everything we do for our team members, is all about giving and receiving. It's that karma. It's that beautiful cycle that God gives you when you're putting things out to the world that are good and you're receiving it good coming back. So that's my story. That's my conversion story.
So powerful. What year was that?
That was back in 2011.
Wow. What's not, I was going to use the word fascinating, but it's not the right word. It always amazes me how there are moments where we have great clarity. And when we have a feeling of this higher power, for some people, it might be God. For others, it might be a creator or the universe or, whatever it is we believe in. But when they are preparing us for what is next, there's going to be this moment. And, we get that it's not opportunity to say yes or no. And when we say yes, it paves the way for our real mission in life and assignment, so that we can be that person
Amazing.
that we're supposed to be. So that was one of many rebirths for you, right? But
It
it's
was.
gave you your superpower to have a knowing and a feeling, to even know that you could be drawn to building something like a Saalt, or you could trust a human like Timothy to do what was right in another country, And so I just love that prepared you for what was next. But also it was your second daughter. You had more daughters and a son after that. It allows
That's
you to
right.
just create these beings on the planet that can also live by example and walk the walk alongside you and your husband.
Oh, I love that. You summed it up so well. And I actually forgot to say the best part of that. My daughter was a true miracle. In fact, doctor after doctor came into the hospital room because she was fully recovered, no water in her lungs, no brain damage, and just walked out the next day. And
Wow.
and they said they'd never seen a case like that before after she'd been underwater for at least 3 minutes or longer. And so it was just it was incredible. And like you said, it's really solidified my trust in relying on God. And I've had to so many times in business. There have been so many instances, but I know that we'll get through because I know that he has a plan and that it's best for me. And if I'm following him and I'm following where the universe is guiding me, and I'm doing the right things and you trying to be a good person, then, I'm blessed, even if that sometimes takes you through some valleys, right? Because you always have these vistas and they're more incredible than you can imagine. Sometimes you have those experiences where you just have God's divine signature, I like to say, written all over it. And I've had a lot of those in my life, and it's a beautiful way to live.
Hi, it's me, Terri. Transformation doesn't happen by accident. It's a daily practice. And Best Self Co. gives you the tools to live with purpose. From guided journals to productivity decks, every product is designed right in my hometown of Austin, Texas, to help you dream bigger, reflect deeper, and take aligned action. Visit Best Self Co. and use the code Terri for your special percentage off. Your next breakthrough starts with one small step, and today is a beautiful day to begin.
I'm also not surprised as you told that story that the word wholeness came up. It's because he prayed for wholeness. And it's like when we are fully aligned of the doer, the believer, and the being, that's where we find wholeness or oneness. And they say that's the most divine vessel of where we can receive. So you guys are just proof of that. It's so beautiful to hear.
Yes, I love the word wholeness as well for that reason, because really we are such holistic beings and we have to consider our work and our family and our health and everything combined. And, I've made a lot of strides over time in making those all work together and being really deliberate about life. And it's all about integrating God first at the top. That's the answer.
That's awesome. Well, I'd love for you to tell us what's up next for Saalt and where we can find you online.
Yeah, I love that. So many good things. You mentioned our collaboration with Hanky Panky. That's so fun. They're a company that has been around for 40 years. They're in 80 countries. They have this incredible cult following, and they reached out to us because they said, hey, you have the best gusset technology, and we want to create a confidence panty. Will you do it with us? And so we launched that on International Women's Day on March 8th. It was their best launch in 15 years, they said, which is incredible. And it's called Hanky Panky Plus, powered by Saalt. And so that's so fun. We're hoping to have more licensing, coming in the future. But really, it's just a lot of innovation, in our period underwear and where we're going, and more expansion in retail. We have the big dream. Where we're going is we want to make our products accessible to everyone in the world. And we want to get there the fastest, starting with the US and moving international. So a lot of really wonderful things coming there. And where you can find us, we're on Amazon. It's prime time right now. Find us there on Amazon, and then also on our website, Saalt.com. And then you can find us in retail stores, again, Target, Walmart, Walgreens, Whole Foods, REI, and also Nordstrom.com.
And Saalt with 2 A's.
Saalt with 2 A's, yes.
Well, thank you. Thank you for just being such a shining light in this world and saying yes to strangers. You never know the power of a yes. And for me, you were one of my very first blog articles. And that just opened up the possibilities for me. And then to answer an email from me, which led to Timothy and this journey that the two of you have had since 2018. I hope for those that are listening, they see that you could be inspired by faith. You could be inspired by taking a chance on strangers, and even be inspired by a conversation you can have with your family to solve a problem that can help women around the world in generations to come. You are just such a special being, and it's just such a delight to have spent this time with you.
Well, thank you, Terri. I mean, it's been incredible to watch your own journey. I see you all the time, everywhere on social media, on LinkedIn, and see everything that you're about. And congratulations on an incredible blog and incredible podcast and everything that you do and all the advocacy that you have in the legislature. It's just amazing. So it's wonderful to connect. God is good, and I think that's
all the time. I can't wait to visit you guys at Boise. I want to meet everyone and see your facility. It sounds incredible.
Awesome. Yeah. In the fall, come visit us. We'd love it. We're moving to a new place. We're expanding. So we're getting our own warehouse soon, and we're excited.
Oh my gosh, it's such a big deal.
Yes. Always progressing.
Well, we'll end here, but I hope that people will follow you and that they stay tuned for a couple of more fun things at the end of this episode.
All right. Thank you, Terri.
Don't forget to subscribe and follow this podcast. You can find me at all things Terri Broussard-Williams and movementmakercollective.com. Hey, y'all. Hey, now you know all this stuff, but before I go, a reminder, the content shared on this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. Okay, that's right. I am no professional. If you need a medical, mental health, or other professional support, please consult a qualified expert. Till next time, I'm cheering you on.